So I'm watching Martian, and I'm seeing the lavatory set up to a normal toilet, and I would just like to let everybody know, and I have to catch myself because this is not an easy conversation, even in myself, well, especially myself, excuse me, in what it is. So in actual space travel, you have a lavatory set that comes with a suction, a tube that you have to aim into, and in this movie is a prospect that only comes with an advancement that is possible in the future, where something like that is capable. And even to the dynamics of the station, are you only able to eat in fractions in time, where those excrements do not affect your nutrients and your nutritional intake in a negative way, that it takes it in a positive way, so it becomes that much more mentally distressing if you cannot grasp the actuality of science, which I have. And this is something that, I've considered my whole life and understand to be acceptable in science. This is something that I've grown to love and know and respect beyond myself. That is life. So I hope science, above all, in NASA, can find me appropriate in their pursuits, where I know better that in giving off in myself, and that is toxin and urine and defecation, in what doesn't hold something that is meant to do onto me, that in a craft and station, I may eat something that is grown in the ground, but in a powdery substance that I accept above having luxury just for the betterment of humanity. And that was the promise that I had given, that was taken from me when they broke bones that they cannot fix. But to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, I had hoped that I could be taken to a space for humanity to exist beyond extinction. And these things that they think that I didn't want to retainment, I hold in comprehension and application, and it is not enough. So it takes a team until it does not. And I wanted to have the retainment, but there's just never enough time in life. When life dictates the requirement in stability, security, and ultimately self-preservation. And that is sad and upsetting. But in what I'm saying, I'm not sure how many will understand it. And it is you, if you try and fill in the blanks. But it is actuality to science, and it is truth. And something factual you cannot change no matter how much you try. To a civilization on Mars, you can only promise a structure so far, as it itself requires an oxygen. If it comes out of the tank as it does in the nose, when you're induced in a coma, you will not survive. And that is no threat. That is just something that you need to know And as you do not know it, and it is gauged by body and physical, the human anatomy, if it cannot be standard and overall, then it is singular. And where somebody like me is willing to give their whole life to be in the middle of nothingness to everyone else, but to exist in life itself, it is taken. And there, where does somebody like me sit? And where do they sit? Because you can't change the circumstances, not that far. Earth requires a full solar system. My very eager mother served us 9 pizzas. That's 8 planets. But where they told us Pluto was no longer a planet, they identified that Pluto had died. Not that Pluto wasn't a planet, but that Pluto had died, and that our solar system was dying. And where we tried in pursuits to have Mars as our resort to civilization, we offset the solar system and we jeopardize humanity just to act as if saving humanity is then offsetting the balance of a solar system. So each exoplanet requires our planet to exist as it does in the solar system, to allow for each exoplanet to exist specific to a genetic code and sequence that allows us to travel to each exo, if we are so capable, to extend humanity beyond the stars. And that is not what we have done. We reach for the stars in personal pursuit and means to an end. We ended space exploration and ultimately deemed extinction inevitable in our own ignorance, arrogance, and condescending, pretentious stance against each other. And that much I know and can prove in everything that is science and astrophysics.